The sitcom Dinosaurs with the fucking Jim Henson Muppet people.
Yeah, does that sound like something I would know about?
I guess I'm killing myself.
I'm just saying, every adjective you put there, every descriptor for that show sounds like something I would never watch.
It was a sitcom that it was a family of dinosaurs, and like every character in the show was one of those like large Muppet suits piloted by like two people.
Dino Snore.
Nah, it was great. There's a whole episode about the main character trying to kill his mother-in-law because it was tradition.
Really?
Yeah, it's like when we get too old, we throw the elderly into the volcano.
Midsommar.
Yeah, so he's wheeling his mother-in-law up to this like volcano peak, and the son's like, "Dad, no, it's Grandma. Think about what you're doing." The dad sits there, he's like, "Watch your toes, son," and keeps wheeling the wheelchair.
Does the grandma fucking die?
No, she lives, and they're like, "We just won't tell anybody that we didn't sacrifice Grandma." And the whole time she's like, "You fucking morons! This is like an important thing in our culture. I hate all of you for not killing me. You're a spineless bastard." To like her son-in-law.
Tip the bitch in.
Exactly. No, it was a fun show. It's incredible that Disney like greenlit that.
Did they?
Yeah, it was a Disney property. And it ended with the extinction event.
Really?
Yeah, the last episode is, I think it's an ice age, or maybe it's the meteor, but it ends with like, "Dad, are we gonna die?" He's like, "Yeah, probably." It lasted like 4 seasons.
Let me go, son.
You gotta let me go.
I don't know why I think about that moment in that movie so much. It's so funny.
Literally just letting go.
And then he just spirals. And the way he delivers it. Let me go, son. Speaking of feature-length films.
That's what we're going with. Yeah. We gotta, hang on, we gotta get fucking into this. What's going on? Welcome to another episode of KAFM. That's Kill All Film Majors. That's
John.
And I'm Duncan. And we watched a couple of movies. We watched one way earlier this year, and we kept trying to think of an opportunity to bring it into KAFM.
Mm-hmm.
And then we watched another movie in theaters very recently, and we were thinking... There were a few movies that we've seen in theaters this year. It could have been really any combination, because 2024 has not been a great year for film. But there have been little gems. there have been gems.
I've seen a lot in theaters this year, and I think it's averaging out middling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The average movie going experience has been Trap.
Yeah. Probably. Which I like the more I think about it.
Yeah?
I hate about 45 minutes of that movie. I don't hate it. It's 45 minutes of the movie is really boring, but I like Josh Hartnett.
That I have not seen it. However, a majority of people that I know that have seen it have just told me it's all right. But
is.
Josh Hartnett gives like performance of his life or something.
He's
like
so fun. That's it.
He's so fun.
Yeah, it's not like just everything he's saying is fun to listen to, and the way he goes through life is fun.
The way he goes through life.
The way that character is doing things is really fun.
But we're not talking about Trap.
No. We're talking about other movies with red posters.
Other better movies.
And those are Alien Romulus
and Monkey Man.
Which we both saw in theaters, both these movies, but they weren't box office bomb squads. They aren't so we were looking for a connecting thread, and we realized both of these movies, the thread is they were originally slated by their studios to go to streaming, just die on a streaming platform.
Yeah, Romulus, much like Prey, was slated for Hulu, and Monkey Man,
I think, was either Netflix or just being shopped around to studios. Like, we'll figure out what streaming, sir. And Jordan Peele saved Monkey Man and said, "No, I'll produce this or whatever I have to do to get this in theaters." And then Alien Romulus, I think they just bet on, like, just eventually the decision rolled out where they're like, "Nah, we'll put it in."
I think it might have been because There was some discussion after we watched Alien Romulus in theaters. There was some discussion as to how to pronounce the director's name. Spelled Fede. I pronounced it Fede Alvarez.
1738.
And I got made fun of because it sounds like Fetty Wap. And then I watched some interviews, and every interview I watched, they called him Fetty to his face, and he never corrected them.
Got the hand over his eye and everything.
No, but from the sound of it, I think what really saved this movie is that Ridley Scott liked it. No, it's true, because I saw a couple interviews. It was specifically Fetty and Ridley talking, and they were like, not like interviewing each other, but they were talking about the process of getting Romulus together, getting it off the ground. And what Ridley was talking about, or what he spoke of, was he watched, he's a big fan of all kinds of movie, not just the horror genre, but he was already a fan of Alvarez's. So going into this, he's like, I'd seen like 2 or 3 of your other movies, and so I was excited when they told me that you wanted to direct an Alien movie.
I would never care about a single review in my life for anything I made if Ridley Scott said I enjoyed watching that.
Yeah, if Ridley Scott said I was excited when I heard that you were attached to this,
Fetty Wap would be over the moon.
I would nut and then die.
Ridley Scott's like retracted.
On Ridley Scott's couch, he invites me over as they raid Diddy's house again.
Scott's like trying to leave this time, and he's stuck behind police tape. Some weirdo's nutting on my couch. Like, did he make it to your room? So, both these movies were slated to die on streaming, which was, it's funny to think about how streaming, when it sort of happened, was this like advent of like, oh my God, movies in my house, like my options and everything. Mm-hmm. And now if I hear a movie's not going to theaters, I'm like, oh shit, I'm never going to see it.
Yeah, because it's just going into the endless pit. Every streaming service is just a pit, like the last fight scene in Borderlands. I don't know what's down there, and I don't fucking care.
I don't even remember. I'll take your word for it.
They had the coolest looking like bandit dude, and then Krieg just pushed him into the pit.
Oh yeah, there's like holes.
Yeah, I don't know what's down there, and I don't give a shit.
Holes.
Starring Shia LaBeouf.
I love Shia LaBeouf.
Like as an actor or a person?
Kind of both.
I love hearing the like mildly insane borderline, like, oh, he's just, he's doing the method. He's getting his teeth removed. Like for Fury?
Yeah.
You not know about that? He got teeth removed for Fury.
I did not know about that.
Because
Kanye West stole another idea from him. He stole his clothes, and then he stole his teeth removing idea? So,
from what I recall, Shia LaBeouf's like idea was like they've been driving these like rickety tanks for years. He's probably gonna like bang his face at some point. They don't have dental out here in the army.
Sure, Shia. See, this is what I'm talking about. He's great in Fury, and that's a hilarious story.
And he wears the bag over his head that says, "I'm not famous."
That's so old.
I know it is, but that's still something he did.
It's true.
He stood in front of that like live feed cam in the middle of like a public street.
He set it up.
Yeah, I know, but what was he like screaming at the camera?
He will not divide us.
Yeah. What a guy. And they didn't ask him back for Indiana Jones 5.
That's bullshit.
Well, to be fair, he did badmouth Indiana Jones 4 during the press circuit. Like, in trying to promote the movie, he was like, not,
Local actor, too honest for Hollywood.
I mean, yeah, like, that's kind of like an unwritten thing. Is like, you find something. That's why, like, Cate Blanchett's interviews for Borderlands are just so, God, I can't stop talking about that fucking movie. But, like, you can tell that she's really trying to find anything to, like, even say about
Craft Services was incredible. They gave me soups.
Soups.
So, Alien Romulus, starring not Shia LaBeouf.
Is that the one we're starting with?
It's the one I've seen least recently, right?
Sure, okay. Because technically speaking, we saw Monkey Man first.
But then we rewatched it again, right?
I watched it this morning.
Yeah, so there we go. So we'll start with Alien Romulus.
God, I love this movie.
I don't love it.
You don't love it?
I like it.
What about all of like the practical effects?
Oh, no, I liked all that stuff.
What about the lighting? What about the sound design?
I have an issue with the sound design, but I liked the movie. I want to get that out of the way. I was surprised that the movie was not at all scary.
Yeah.
Because Fetty is a horror guy. He did the Evil Dead remake that I've seen chunks of. That is like a non-tongue-in-cheek, it's a serious horror movie. Mm-hmm. And so when the movie opens and there's that whole like where they grab the xenomorph from the like meteorite from the wreckage of the ship and all that stuff, mm-hmm. and there's like red lights and chains and all these like scientists and almost like welding masks, you know, like
yeah.
I thought it was sort of setting up a mood, and I was expecting something a little more horror for the rest of the movie, and it's really not. It's really an action movie.
Thinking about that opening scene, it really tests. I can't remember what this might have been, like a Winona Ryder thing I heard from like an interview about Beetlejuice, but there's even within like acting, like even within talent in the younger generation, you know, people in the industry, part of a younger generation, there's still an issue with not attention span, but apparently like there's still an issue of people asking, well, how long is the movie? You know, instead of just letting a movie tell its story. Yeah. So this movie really tests that immediately by opening on complete silence in space, which I fucking loved.
I realize, you ever have a moment where you realize you're just dumb? That opening is silent, right? Mm-hmm. And the ship, you don't even know a ship's on until poof, it kicks the lights on. Like you see the ship, but then it poof, kicks its lights on and it illuminates all that like rubble. My immediate thought, it kicks its lights on, and I swear to God, it goes to my head. I said, does light work in space? My brain asked that question.
My brother in Christ.
And then I realized, wait, yeah, because that's how the sun works. Like,
you know, I want to commend you for your bravery today and coming forward with your dumb thought.
And it took a second, like it hit, and then they're driving, and I was like, does light work in space? And I was like, oh no, it must, because stars.
Does light work in space? Oh my God. Yeah, so...
And I was willing to even accept it that it doesn't, but it's cool for the movie. I was like ready to be like...
That was your thought before remembering how the sun works?
Like I was ready to defend it or something. Like just sort of, you know how a million thoughts go through your brain in a second sometimes? Yeah. It was that sort of thing. I was like, well, it looks cool. And then I was like, wait, no.
Do lights work in space? Regardless, it looks cool. Wait, the sun.
Yes. And so maybe I'm not the best critic of movies. Maybe no one should value my opinion on anything.
Look, you've got that degree in the science of filmmaking, not the science of the sun.
It's true. And I'm a firm believer of putting lights in there regardless of if they're... Like, where's motivated lighting? I'm the motivator. I want lights.
I believe we shouldn't teach sciences in school anymore so they don't question things during Alien Romulus.
Just Alien Romulus?
Yes.
This movie was so big it changed your outlook on public education.
Yes.
That's terrible.
No, this movie's fucking awesome. Because you're right, it's not scary. I don't think it needed to be scary. I think it kept the same like general like atmosphere. It had a really good like solid atmosphere throughout that I was completely happy with. It didn't need to be any more scary because the scariest parts to me were the face huggers, not anything larger than that. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, I wasn't even like annoyed it wasn't scary. I was just surprised because you got a horror director to make an alien movie and you come out with like, I don't even know if there's a jump scare that gets me.
All of the... I think I mentioned this when we got out of the movie, but all of the jump scares in the movie are non-alien.
They're all face hugger.
They're either face hugger or they like turn a corner and there's a corpse.
Yeah, there was a lot of jump scares that are just like a dead guy, and I'm like, I expect this is a blowed up spaceship.
Or like there's a half melted oozed on android that like reaches up at one point because it's like kind of half online, half off, and it like reaches up, and that's
which is interesting. So the movie opens with that little alien like, oh, that some scientists somewhere have grabbed an alien, so the cycle begins again. Humans have learned nothing.
And we never will. We'll just keep making alien movies.
And then we go to Shit Planet, which is just like, it's night forever. The clouds are always raining, and there's lightning, and you work in a coal mine until you're dead.
Yeah.
Like,
they always talk about like, oh, some new form of Lyme disease was just created for these children.
And then our main character has a brother who you immediately can tell is a little off, but she's calling him her brother, and you're like, okay, but there's something with him, right? Like, and then very quickly you realize he's an android, almost immediately, which makes sense.
Yes, he has one scene where he's telling jokes, but at a pace just to hear set up punchline. He's just telling jokes in a very neurotic way. He has a kind of a fidgeting problem, but she leaves him alone for a second, and a bunch of kids start like beating him up, and then you see like his eyes have this like glitch effect, and she has to like pull this thing out of his neck and like, start twisting it like a key or something to like reset him. It's like, oh, okay, he's an android.
And he gets a scrape and he bleeds milk instead of blood like they do in Alien. Ridley Scott's a genius. The easiest way to make something scary, it bleeds something. Like Alien bleeds acid, Android bleeds milk.
I do remember. I went back and looked at my last review because I think I reviewed Alien a couple times on Letterboxd. I went back to the last time I watched Alien to remind myself, how much do I love Alien? 5 out of 5. Take me back to when robots could just bleed milk.
It's awesome. It's unsettling. Why did they fill this man with so much milk? What shady government is building milk bots?
Bilbo, more like Bimbo with how much milk he's squirting. I immediately retract that. I needed coffee.
Yeah. What'd you put in that coffee? Milk?
Homemade.
Robo Man milk.
No, me man milk.
So, and then she's like, all right, well, I'm getting off this shit ass planet of garbage. And then she's like, I've done my time. And the secretary at who like checks in people or whatever she is.
Yeah.
The dispatcher, she like looks down and it shows she's done like, I was like 12,000 hours out of 12,000 needed. She's like 50 hours over, and she's like, sorry, denied. And she hits a button and it just like quadruples how many hours are required. And she's like, you can leave in 5 years, maybe. And it's just so comically dystopian and evil. It's just fun. It's funny that like she doesn't run it up the chain of command or anything. Somewhere in her job description, it's like, if anyone wants to leave shit planet, triple their hour requirement.
God, what's the company?
Yutani,
yeah. Which if I recall my nerd lore correctly, Wayland is also the company from Blade Runner, and Ridley Scott put Blade Runner and Alien in the same universe.
Interesting. Ridley Scott has a smart maneuver. Ridley Scott knows how to make a dystopia that sucks, but with just like little touches of humanity that elevate the whole moment. Because there's something like when I'm on Shit Planet and just like I work until I'm dead, I sleep in the smallest bunk possible, I eat garbage, blah, blah, blah. Like all this stuff, it's so inhuman and uncomfortable. You're like, how does this world even exist? But like in Blade Runner, it opens with it's rainy, it's shitty, the world sucks, but he stops and gets noodles on the street. Because, like,
And those are damn good noodles.
the world doesn't live in prison. Even when life sucks, people try to have these moments of happiness that make the whole thing that much more nuanced and deeper. And so that's what I was immediately missing from Romulus. And I think it's throughout the movie, is there's just like a lack of nuance in everything that happens.
Because at the very least, in the first Alien, which doesn't have a huge, sprawling city to flesh out, it doesn't have a world to flesh out as its own character. They're having like breakfast before shit gets crazy. They get out of their pods and they're sitting around, eating because, they've been asleep forever. They haven't eaten in forever.
And smoking.
Yeah.
There's like when they launch these truckers into space, there's piles of cigarettes for years somewhere in this building because of course there is. Like, regardless of whether or not that's efficient, I gotta let these truckers smoke so they get me my shit on time. And so then after that, they're like, all right, this planet sucks. Let's go meet our friends. And we meet the gang who's gonna be in the movie. And they just pitch the plot of the movie.
There's a spaceship, stuck in orbit up above shit planet, and it's decommissioned, but it's got some life. It's got some cryopods in there, and we're like a very small group of people. So the plan is we're gonna take these cryopods, we're gonna deep freeze ourselves, and we're just gonna send the ship on autopilot to the next system.
They've got a planet. I can't remember the name, but basically they've got a planet in their minds that's like not Weyland-Yutani controlled and can be like has no technology almost, is like just a paradise.
Yeah.
She says no initially, and then she says, yeah, all right, let's do it.
Because they need, since her brother, her adopted brother is an android, Andy.
Yeah.
Since Andy is an android, they're like, he can speak ship, mother. He can speak mother.
Yeah.
Which is their like ship program in the Alien universe. So it's like, we don't even need you, woman. We just need your brother. And she's like, well,
I take care of him.
Yeah.
He's glitching out. He's like they mention he's like repaired, but he's not repaired 100% because her parents are dead and they repaired him.
Yeah.
So she'd have a guardian / friend.
Yeah. He was decommissioned. Parents recommissioned and gave just the one sole directive of do what's best for.
Don't look at me for names. I don't know names in any movie I watch.
Andy's the only one I remember.
Because Android.
And he was also the best character in the movie.
He is.
He's the best actor in this movie.
That's what I was going to say. I looked up if that actor had done other movies. This seems like the biggest thing he's done.
Maybe some like TV here and there.
Maybe I didn't see. But I want to see him in more stuff. Like he does a switch later in this movie that kind of shows his range. And it's awesome. And the best lines come from him, and the best moments are like the movie is living through him in my head.
He also does have the worst line delivery in the movie, in my opinion.
Yes, but that's not his fault.
That's not his fault. That's for later.
And circling in on that early on. There's an initial weakness in the movie that I go, uh-oh. When she's eating food in the morning, one of those little birds with the hat that dips in water,
the Duncan Alberts,
if you say so,
that's what they're called,
is behind her on the desk because that's in another Alien movie. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, like I guess if that's the length it went, fine, but that's not. That is a sign of things to come.
You think it apes Alien too much?
Not too much, just not too much. Just any time it references Alien, I'm like, oh yeah. Like, yeah, I get it, but you're your own movie. Just be your own movie. You're referencing Alien enough with the fact that it's got an alien in it. I don't need other memories of Alien.
The fact that this is Alien number 7 if you don't include AVP, 9 if you do.
Oof.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was that many.
Yeah, including Prometheus, but...
Which I think is fair. If it's got the Xenomorph in there.
Prometheus does not have the Xenomorph.
I thought it did. It's got some version of it.
It's got the... I thought it had the weird creator things.
I thought they made one, though.
That's Covenant.
Huh.
Covenant, they make the Xenomorph.
Well, then I'll watch Prometheus one day and let you know if I think it counts as an Alien movie.
Don't.
So they go into the spaceship pretty quickly, and it's nice tension. They got to dock. They got to do this whole back and forth.
Speaking of smoking in space.
Yeah. What is his name? Irish McIrish? No, what is he? Is he Irish or is he
I think he's a Scouser.
don't know what that means.
All right.
Cockney?
Cockney, yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, English McCogney or whatever. They take off and he lights a cigarette dope as fuck where the flame gets long because of their way they're taking off, and he smokes it all in 1 second. And that's the only good part of him in the movie because he spends the rest of the time being robot racist.
Oh, he is awful, and I'm glad that he dies.
Believe it or not, almost all of them die because it's an alien movie.
Yeah, and that was an interesting thing I did see in like some of the interviews with Fede Alvarez. A lot of people that were interviewing him were like, I haven't even seen the movie yet, but it's an alien movie, so I know characters are gonna die. Mm-hmm. You know, what was it like trying to craft, you know, interesting deaths?
Yeah.
And every time he was asked about death in the movie, he had the same response of like, to quote Quentin Tarantino, I'm going to reject that.
Interesting.
Yeah, like he never copped to there being death in the film, but he would always kind of subvert it. Like any good, you know, interview he does, he would subvert it and be like, well, if we're thinking about death in the Alien franchise, you know, in the first Alien movie, a lot of the deaths are off screen. You see how the death is going to shake out. You see how it's going to happen. But the second, you know, xenomorph teeth meets flesh, we cut. So trying to play on that or try to... because there's definitely some moments in this film where they don't cut away, which I think plays into Fede's strengths as a horror director and plays into this film's strengths with a lot of practical effects, because practical effects are way better nowadays.
They were big on that. They used CGI for like backgrounds and for like bigger stuff, but they were big on this whole thing being practical, which does the movie. If any of this was CGI, the movie would tank.
100%.
I don't know about box office, but with me personally, I would be so uninterested.
Before we like get any further, John says that he doesn't love this movie. I will say this is my favorite Alien sequel. I think Alien 1 still does it better, but, you know, in terms of every Alien movie that came after, Aliens, Alien 3, Resurrection, Covenant, any of them, this is the best one, which is not a very high bar at this point, but people fucking love Aliens.
Mm-hmm. And you're looking to start a fight.
Well, I still like Aliens. I just think that this is a better film. This kept my attention more. Now, to be fair, first time I saw Aliens, I might have been like 12. Like I was a child, and I do remember falling asleep during Aliens. Wow! As a little 12-year-old child.
Have you seen it since then?
Yes, I've seen it since.
Well, I've only seen it once.
I saw Aliens. I saw half of Aliens half my lifetime ago, and just never gave it a chance. No, I've seen Aliens.
I probably saw Aliens 10 years ago, and that's the only time I've seen it.
It's good. Like it. I mean, it's purposefully subversive. We've talked about, you know, Ridley Scott wanted to do
James Cameron.
Where am I?
Did Aliens.
Fuck. Yeah. After the success of horror movie Alien, wanted to do action movie Aliens, which I think is fine, but I do think it doesn't have the same atmosphere. Uh-huh. You know, it's not as confined. And this still... Romulus feels confined.
It's confined. It is missing atmosphere in my mind.
Really?
Yeah, because so they go into the spaceship and their idea is they got to steal the cryopods. Yeah. And they find it pretty quickly, but they're like, oh, there's no cryo juice in here. We got to go grab cryo juice on the other side of the station.
There's enough for 3 years and they need 9 years in each pod.
Yeah. And so they start heading across, and in the cryo station, they have issues getting in. There's all this stuff. They unknowingly start defrosting, as we learned that the reason this ship was abandoned is because this is the ship from the beginning where they took the alien. And they have a bunch of face huggers just frozen in that room. And so when they start taking the cryo junk, they start the alien, like the takeover of the station.
The great thaw.
And so there's a whole scene where it's like there's something in the water and blah, blah, blah. And then we finally get face huggers jumping at people.
And this particular moment I remember was in a lot of the marketing. Yeah. You know, especially that line, there's something in the fucking water. That's how he sounds.
I know. this is also when we get the Andy switch. They put a new chip in him because they got one from this like beat up, half digested robot.
Yeah, they find at some point there's like a hole in the floor where like a xenomorph had bled out, and it's just going through floors of the ship, and there's a half android kind of melted there, but like the upper half is fine. They take the chip out of this one.
Am I the only one that thinks the alien blood melting through every layer of a spaceship is kind of goofy?
I mean, I will say it had to have stopped at some point because there isn't a like vacuous effect going through all of those floors. So it had to have stopped at some point.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. And there is a certain point in the movie where they're in like the lowest deck fighting a xenomorph. And so they do say we need to be careful if it bleeds, you know, use the gun to threaten it. But if we actually make it bleed, then we're in trouble. Like that point, I'm okay with it, but I do think it goes down a long way.
Even in the original Alien, I always thought it was kind of goofy that it's like that's all it takes, one drop of acid, and I just blow a hole through this whole ship.
Well, it's not one drop of acid. It is, you know, however much blood it takes to circulate through the system of a creature twice the size of a normal human. You know, think about how much blood is in a human body.
I have no idea. I don't have a single clue how much blood is in a human body.
A lot.
A lot?
A lot. You see your little sippy cup there?
Yeah.
Imagine like 20 of those.
First of all, that's a big sippy cup.
Okay, so. I'm like ballparking about 20 of those.
20 of those? There's 640 ounces of blood in the human body?
Probably more that you say it out loud like that. Because I can't calculate ounces.
Okay, I have no idea. The point is, I've always thought it was goofy. So whenever that's a plot point in an alien movie, I'm like, whatever.
But they have a lot of acid blood is my point. They've got a lot of acid blood.
They do.
It's not one drop of acid will blow the ship
And we don't
open.
have a single metal that's stronger than it. We don't build our ships with any acid protection. Put the alien corpse on the acid paper mache ship.
All right. What metals are immune to the effects of acid? Are non-corrosive metals?
Space metals.
I can build my science fiction movie.
Yeah, I can build a spaceship, but I can't make metal not dissolve. My bad.
Because I guess at that point, if you do just like put the xenomorph in a box of acid-proof metal or something, that you do lose one of its, I guess, scarier, because that is what makes it scary. The second you start hurting it, you risk being in a confined space in one of these alien movies. It's always good alien movies at some point are, you know, in like a confined space, and having acid for blood will open up that confined space.
I guess so. I've never thought of it as the scary part. The scary part to me is the monster grabbing you.
Well, that's one of the scary parts. They make it a point in like so many alien movies to be like, oh no, we think humanity is so great because we are able to like traverse planets. No, this is nature literally creating the perfect killing machine. You know,
True.
They bring it up. They bring it up in Romulus, where they're like, evolutionarily speaking, the xenomorph is fucking perfect, and it is terrifying.
Okay, I'll buy it. So Andy reboots in the facehugger room, and it's dope as fuck.
Oh, his eyes roll into the back of his head, and like it says Wayland Yutani for his pupils. It looks so good.
And he wakes up with a new personality because he's sort of like, whatever the chip they put in him has given him like lead scientist access to the ship, but has also sort of imbued him with pieces of the lead scientist, it feels like. So it's like half a personality merges with what Andy is, and so now he's way more callous and authoritative and dope as hell when he speaks, but also like willing to sacrifice people for the sake of different bigger picture. And no longer is it about friendship, it's about how can I save the highest percentage of people. And
he does that. There is throughout the movie there is sort of this downward spiral for the character in terms of succumbing more and more to these new programs in his system. You know, I think there's a certain point in the movie where we get like a verbal confirmation of like, oh no, like I think she tries to take the chip out.
Yeah.
And he's like, that would not be, you know, what is best. And then she asks, it's like, well, what do you mean, what is best? Because his original directive is what is best for the girl, this woman. It's like, what is best for me? Or what is best for, like, she needs, like, a verbal confirmation, and he does not provide that.
Eventually, she asks him prime directive or whatever, and he says, like, protecting the company's interests.
Yeah, what is in the best interest of the company?
So, one of the crew that's on this ship, the bald one, Buzzcut, gets face-huggered.
Yes.
And they, at this point, have to wake up the scientist android that was melted in half. And this is the biggest issue with the movie.
This is my one glaring... It is revealed to be... Oh, what was his name? Rook? Rook from original Alien movie, who was played by Ian Holm. Ian Holm, who passed away in, like, 2018.
And it is a CGI over a prop body that is then someone with a similar voice doing an impersonation that maybe they modulate a little bit because he's sort of like a glitching out robot as they CGI his face on there. And it looks like shit. I don't know. Shit, it looks not human, and you can tell it's CGI. And in a world and sets and design work that is all practical effects, it's even more glaring. Plus, it's a human face. The one thing we are super tuned to telling when is and isn't real as people. No matter how real you think you can get it, the human eye can be like, that's fake. And it just takes me out of the movie. Mm-hmm. And if it was one little Easter egg, I'd be like, oh, that's a lame as fuck Easter egg.
Yeah, because for a long time they were... I could see it coming. The way that they were, like, playing around with this, you know... robot body. It was always, like, faced away from the camera, or, like, when they were turning it on, the face was, like, shrouded in shadow. And I'm like, okay, it's clearly Rook, and it's gonna be a reveal that it's Rook.
And then when it's just his face, I'm like, okay, that's terrible. But it's that we go back to him multiple times, and he starts serving as almost like the antagonist of the movie.
Yeah, he is one of the antagonists of the movie.
He's the non-alien antagonist for sure.
Yeah. And, like, he's important to the plot. And we talked about this where, like, just cast a different guy, have a different robot, because we've seen, like, Bishop played by Lance Henriksen in Alien 3. We had David played by Michael Fassbender. We've had other androids. We have Andy.
Yeah, there's no reason it should be him other than the cheap pop of, like, ooh, and it just has no purpose.
That is my one, like, big issue with the movie. But
eventually they're just like, all right, Facehugger does its facehugger thing. There's a cool kill where she has an x-ray machine and she sees it bust through her own chest.
Yeah, break her, like, her own ribs and shit.
In front of the pregnant woman who's like, holy shit.
Yeah, that is an important plot point, I guess, is that there's, like, one person on the ship who's pregnant, so she spends most of the film on their little ship that they used to get to this larger station.
She spends most of the film frickin' dead.
Yeah, she gets taken by the xenomorph, but not killed.
But first, the xenomorph has to build just a wall orb to be birthed from. Because now that the bald woman is dead, after she gets facehuggered, Cockney jackass who's in love with her, they lock the ship down and they're pulling away.
Because, yeah, so Andy realizes that the bald or the buzz cut woman has been, or there's a high probability that she has been injected with the.
They had a term for it. I can't remember what it is. I think he says, like, processed or something like that. Like,
it has finished its process or something. Like, she got
an alien in her.
Yeah, she got impregnated.
Throw that bitch in the airlock. She got alien in her.
Yeah, so Andy says it's like there's a high probability. Andy makes it a point of saying, my functions are better. I can think faster. I can process things faster. I can, understand things better, but I know as much as you do. This new chip that you gave me did not give me the memories of the chief science officer, but I can deduce things very quickly. So when the face hugger is like on her and stuff, they're like, Andy said, well, I don't know what this thing is, but judging by how it's like wrapped around her throat, if we try to remove it, it'll break her neck.
Yeah. All the classic, like learning the same stuff that the first cast learned, which is fine. It's going quick enough.
But yeah, so Andy says she's probably pregnant. We can't have a single pregnant on this team. And so half of them
try to escape in the ship, and it gets like she dies, which freaks out Jackass, and so the ship like crashes back into the loading dock because the pregnant woman's on board too.
Mm-hmm. And it blows up just like a big like fuel tank on the side of the ship, and the ship starts like rocking, and that creates it creates basically a countdown for the whole movie of like, hey, in 45 minutes
we're gonna crash into an asteroid belt.
Yeah, or the ring on the planet.
Yeah,
it's like we're gonna make contact with the ring on shit planet. I don't remember what it's called.
The dirt ring of shit planet is gonna tear us to shreds.
Yeah, so I think they say the runtime of the movie, or
they say something like that.
It's like we have 48 minutes exactly, and like, oh, I guess how much of this movie's left?
No, because they escape at the end. Remember, there's an extra little.
Yeah, minute. I was wrong.
Yeah, so what the hell, man? No, so anyway, we just go through. Irish McCockney or whatever he was gets killed by a wall vagina that births an alien.
The Zanussi gets him. He sticks a cattle prod up there.
And he shocks that baby alien, and all it does is piss it the fuck off.
Which I think is from another Alien
I'll believe you.
Alien 3 maybe, or something, of like trying to electrocute, maybe Aliens.
Oh, really?
Trying to like electrocute the while it's still in its little gestation pod.
Doesn't work at all. Just makes it angry.
Yeah.
Spits acid, kills him.
Fire hurts it, not electricity.
You think it kills the pregnant woman because it spikes her.
Yeah.
And drags her away.
But it somehow misses every vital organ.
Yeah, maybe it just puts it through the shoulder or whatever.
It was more so around here, like where the baby would be.
Uh-oh. And so...
But it uses her as bait, which is awesome.
And we're now very quickly down to 3 people.
Yeah.
Which is just like the kind of the leader dude of the group. Like he's the one with the plan and making all the choices.
He's the tallest one. Had this been the original Alien movie, it would have spent the first half of the movie making you think he was the main character. He's the tallest dude. He's the captain of their
main girl and
Andy,
my beloved. And so they just start going through. They got to go through a whole facehugger room. It's kind of a cool scene where they have to like keep the temperature high so facehuggers can't sense their presence.
Yeah, facehuggers respond to they don't have eyes. They respond to temperature. So like
heat and noise.
Yeah, heat and noise. So we'll move quietly. We'll heat up the room to the internal body temperature of a human. It's smart. I think it's very fun, and
leads to the best line of the movie, which is this: the facehuggers are about to attack because some shit happened, and he goes, "Run!" And they run.
It's such a good delivery. He's such a good actor.
And so then they, it's just cool little alien stuff. And this is the part of the movie I'm in. I'm all about it. The one issue I have with the sound design that I mentioned is they do the horror sound design that doesn't fit. That is like a new... They've done it in a couple things. Horror movies do it now. That like... Whoa, it's like chanting, but it's sort of off key and building. It's in a bunch of horror movies right now. And oftentimes it works if it's in like religious horror movies or like things like that. Like I think it's in The First Omen. It's in like The Witch or something. It's fine. Here it just didn't fit. It just felt like a very like, oh, this is what a lot of horror movies are doing right now.
Yeah, okay, I can agree with that.
And so, because the movie's just not scary, it's got some jump scares. We keep seeing dead bodies. There's a xenomorph that eventually there's like 9 xenomorphs. Turns out this place was like riddled with them because they grab tall man, spike him in the face. Should have showed it more.
We forgot to mention why this movie's called Alien Romulus.
The ship's called Romulus.
They get to the ship and they're like, I wonder what this ship's about. And then it's a mother wolf nursing 2 human babies. And it's like, Romulus and Remus.
Oh, yeah. And we're like, milk time.
Yeah, Romulus and... They said it's like they were Greek... like demigods no, they were Roman demigods seeking to like better humanity, and it just shows depictions of war.
Oh yeah, and they're just like, oh shit, I don't think this movie's gonna go well. And we zoom in close on a picture of a kid sucking a titty right there on a Greek painting. That's important for later.
It is.
And so, I mean, they all die almost, and we get alien references occasionally. And then eventually they decide, listen, we got to shoot all these fucking aliens with aim assist guns.
That are awesome and are from alien colonial marines.
There'll be 0G blood spiraling through. You got to dodge the acid.
That scene was pretty cool. When Andy was like, okay, new plan, and pulls out the guns, and they're like, oh, these are the ones the colonial marines use. I thought back to the video game Alien Colonial Marines.
Uh-huh.
Do you know about how bad that game was?
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, so there was like a single digit was off in the AI coding for the aliens that either made them extremely hard and would find you instantly and kill you, or they never noticed you and just walked in circles. So I was imagining the second one where it's like we got just like the colonial marines used and just the dumbest aliens that never noticed them.
No, these aliens are smart. They understand guns.
Yeah, which again I thought was really cool. It's like we can't shoot them because we're on the lowest deck of the ship. Below us is space.
And so then they realize what the secret plan is of this space station, which is building goo that regenerates you. And you see a video of a mouse in a squashing machine. It's just like smashes it and it rebuilds itself. And they're like, oh shit, grab the goo. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, just like the... God, what, like hydraulic press YouTube videos of just like, we put a mouse in a hydraulic press.
And then you see the mouse's body, but it's actually aliened up.
How does this better science? What?
How about you shut the fuck up?
Look, Wayland Yutani gave me $1 billion to go to space and squish mice. Like Ad Astra. No, ISS. That's the one that had mice.
Yeah, all space has mice. It's an infestation.
We need to kill space because they keep giving us mice.
So the pregnant woman's alive, and she's running back to the ship, and they say, don't fucking use this goo. You can, if you make it to the ship, we'll put you in a cryopod, you'll heal up. And she goes, okay. And then she immediately uses the goo.
Yeah, for a brief moment, everybody's on the same team because Andy has his new directive of do what's best for the company. The company wants to get this goo back. Mm-hmm. And Rook is like, okay, yeah. Rook is weirdly... Something I've always really liked about the androids in Alien is how weirdly they're not empathetic, but they could be sympathetic. Yeah. Like he says, I can't comply, but you have my sympathies. Uh-huh. And so there's a moment where he says, humans are stupid. He's talking to Andy. He's like, humans are stupid. They'll panic. They'll make dumb decisions. Just help them as best you can. To the best of your abilities, help their, ignorant monkey brains. But for a moment, everybody's on the same side. It's like, hey, we want to get out of here. And he's like, cool. And you've got the goo. You're heading to the same place I want the goo to go. You, the goo, everybody can make it onto the ship. It'll be a great time. So everybody's on the same team for a moment in this movie.
And then they split up. That guy dies. They shoot aliens. Pregnant woman goos herself.
Yeah, she injects herself.
They get to the ship. Andy eventually... I can't remember why, but he turns off the Wayland part of his brain, so he's just Andy again.
He still is, he still has those like physical issues where if he gets beat up too badly and an alien tail knocks him against like a wall or something, so he's, freezing up, he's glitching out, and she says, I will repair you if you let me remove the chip. If you die here, that is not in the company's best interest. And he lets her, remove that chip. So he is back to like our beloved Andy that we love. Andy.
And so then they have to escape up a shaft, an elevator shaft that has like this gravity's turning off and on. And there's a couple aliens that are floating at him. One of them is my favorite alien because he loses a hand, but he dodges an elevator and then he dodges another thing. And you realize he's like peeking out, toying with her. He's my favorite guy in the movie. He's just working hard. He's a smart little dude. Eventually, gravity turns back on and Andy drops on him, shooting with a gun, and delivers the line, Get away from her. You bitch.
He stutters through "you bitch" because he's not programmed to swar.
But there's no reason for him to say that line anyway. He could just say "get away from her," but we have to reference the old movies.
There's a much better... I'm not mad about putting that line in an Alien movie.
I am.
Like that, again, you could argue it's just checking a box for nostalgia, but like I'm fine with putting that line in an Alien movie. There's just a better spot for it.
Is there?
Yes, we talked about this afterwards. When like the last Alien, not Alien, like we'll get to that. When the last thing is, you know, going after the pregnant woman, like the main character, she should have said it when she was shooting that thing, and then your argument was that would be a 1-to-1 with like the first Alien. I don't care. It's a much better spot, and she can say bitch.
She can.
She, unlike Andy, she can say bitch.
Well, we've been talking for a while, so let's just jump to the end of the movie.
They make it to the ship, and there's still half an hour left.
And you're like, well, something's gonna happen. She puts the pregnant woman in a cryo tube. Andy plugs into the computer to sit down. Rook is furious because he's like, I'm going to autopilot the ship, and she turns that shit off.
So they're getting away, and the station starts crashing into the belt on Shit Planet.
And visually it looks awesome.
It looks awesome, and there's a point later in the movie when we see the smaller ship that they're on start going in, and in the background you can still see the station blowing up.
Yeah, it's so fucking sick.
That looks awesome.
But then she's right about to cryo sleep herself.
And then pregnant woman gives birth.
And they're like, oh, fuck. It's a egg.
Yeah, because she injected herself with the alien goop, and it turned her baby into one of the architects from Prometheus.
A little. It seems more just like a half alien, half man.
It's got the same face as the architects.
Does it?
It does.
All I know is that it is born out of an acid egg, and
it's just crawling around for a bit. It's just like a little gross, like kind of greenish pink alien human baby just running around. You get these tiny human footprints in dust in like a lower part of this ship.
Grows super fast into an 8-foot tall, just like stretched out person. This is the only time the movie's like tense-ish. Yeah,
it's a very uncomfortable design. Like, the xenomorphs in this movie aren't very scary. I would say the scariest things in the movie are probably the face huggers, just because there's a lot of them and they skitter around.
Yeah.
So if you have any kind of, like, I guess, if you're arachnophobic, I guess, that might...
It's scary to get alien fucked in the mouth. If
that
you get killed, you get killed, but...
But I mean, visually speaking... The aliens, you know, there's no good...
No, they just kind of walk at you.
Yeah, there's no good, like, xenomorph jump scares. They're cool, and they're smart. I like how smart they are in this film. But, like, I would say the face huggers are the scariest part, and then whatever the fuck this is at the end. Like, it does the thing that I like in a lot of... You see this in a lot of more, like, Korean and Japanese horror movies, where they'll just make something that looks fucked up and make you stare at it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of Western media, a lot of Western horror movies is like, we're going to spook you a little bit. But by the time your brain, you know, has time to register what you're looking at, it's already gone. But they made something creepy and they're making you look at it, which I love.
And he returns to complete the prophecy and tries to suck his pregnant mom's titties.
The woman that gave birth to the egg, who is like, yeah.
And he eats her throat out too.
Yeah.
Like he does both at the same time because he's got a little like pseudo alien tongue in his mouth. It's just horrible. And there's an extended fight scene where we need to drop him into space.
Just like Alien 1.
And 2.
Yeah, and Alien.
This is just the classic Alien thing. How do we beat these things? Throw that sucker into space. I don't got no other plans. In doing so, there's another jump scare. This is the only jump scare that got me. I knew it was coming, but it just happens when they're falling into space and this dust obscures her space helmet.
Yeah.
And it like jumps at her helmet. I was like, oh. Because jump scares can get me.
It's good. I think my only issue with this film is the Ian Holm bit, but...
Ian Holm bit, there's some sound stuff that I'm like, eh. And then anytime they reference Alien, I'm like, okay.
See, that doesn't get to me.
Yeah.
I don't...
It gets to me. If you reference another movie, I'm pissed.
Are you tired of the Akira bike slide?
Yeah.
Me too.
Not really, to be honest, because at least that's cool, and it's not like I'm talking more like you remember the other movie. Like Akira Bike Slide is just a dope slide, right? Like,
yeah,
and you could go, oh, Akira, but I'm talking about like the same lines from the other movie, the same this from the other movie, the same like checking boxes is what it feels like.
No, to me it feels like homage. I don't feel checking boxes. It feels more homage-y to me, but that, I mean, yeah, she launches the alien into space. I think, does it get eaten up by the asteroid belt at all, or is it just like straight out into?
You just see it kind of fall and because you just see it fall away because she also drops the half of the cargo bay, so I think it all falls together.
Okay. And then she redirects the ship again. She, puts the autopilot back on.
Andy got his throat slashed by the big alien, so he's in a cryo tube now.
And she's like, I'm gonna get you fixed, because the something we actually didn't touch on is that the new planet that they're going to is like it doesn't have Weyland-Yutani. They are anti-Weyland-Yutani.
Yeah, so any androids wouldn't be allowed.
Andy would be decommissioned the second they get there. But she said, I don't care, I will fix you. We're going to figure this out together. And this moment did get me in the movie. She's like, new prime directive. It's not about what's best for me. It's what's best for us. That got me. That really got me. But yeah, and so she puts him in a pod, she goes in a pod, and they sail away into the sun.
Probably a sequel, because this movie's made a ton of money.
I wouldn't be mad if...
I wouldn't either. All my complaints aside, I enjoyed it.
Do you think... Because that was like a big complaint of, like the new Star Wars trilogy is episode 7 was just more of the same retold. Like this referenced a lot. If this took like a, I don't know, I don't want to say Star Wars episode 8 route, but like if the sequel was much more of its own thing, doing new things with Alien, with the same like director.
Sure.
Okay.
I'd be down. I don't need it to be the same. In fact, I prefer when it's weird and different. I remember Star Wars 8. I don't remember what happened. I remember watching it and thinking it was weird and different.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, whatever. To be honest, never would have predicted that Star Wars 8 would have blown up the world the way it did, and how it's the most controversial piece of media ever predicted for the worst people you know.
Truly.
Anyone who has a concrete, detailed opinion on it, I'm like, shut the fuck up. I don't care.
It has a moment in that movie. Star Wars Episode 8 has it has the coolest ship blowing up in any Star Wars movie. Cooler than the Death Star. A ship blows up in the vacuum of space and it is completely silent.
Oh yeah.
Star Wars is such baby movie about wizards in space with laser swords and stuff. I didn't think a Star Wars movie would have the balls to have silence in it at any point.
I didn't think it could respect its audience even that little.
Exactly. So when it happened, I remember watching it in theaters and I was like, oh my God, 13 seconds of cinema. I remember
watching it too. I think I saw it with my dad and we thought the movie, we were like, yeah, whatever. And I never saw any of them after that. But it wasn't like they ruined Star Wars. It was just like, I saw 7 because it was like the big thing at the time. Star Wars is back. I saw 8 and I was like, I just never got around to the other ones and I just don't care. And now whenever someone talks about Star Wars, I just try to strangle them. You know what Episode 9 has in common with Alien Romulus? What? They CGI'd a dead person, Carrie Fisher. Oh, good. All right, fucking... So our next movie, which we saw earlier this year, somewhere like springtime, April. Was it April? It was, because we saw it for someone's birthday, and their birthday's in April. Yes, okay. Was Monkey Man. Monkey Man. And Romulus did really good at the box office. It's like the second highest grossing Alien movie, probably behind original Alien. I didn't check, but I don't remember. I think Monkey Man did a little soft at the theaters. It probably had a smaller budget though, so I think in terms of percentage, I think it might have done better on its own original budget. I don't know. I do know it had a smaller budget because one of the things was the budget was getting cut as they were filming it. Oh my God. That's like, I remember Dev Patel doing an interview. He's like, we had tables you get thrown through for like stunts and stuff that we would tape back together after we used them just because we normally you would just have we didn't have the replacements or anything.
This is Dev Patel's directorial debut.
Written by as well.
Yeah.
Story by.
He had a vision.
Yes. And that vision kicks ass.
This movie's fucking awesome. Here's something interesting. So we rewatched this separately, just gearing up for this. I have the Blu-ray of this movie. When I loaded it in, there was a whole sidebar of like alternate opening, alternate ending.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's alternate versions of this film, and it's weird because it feels like such a like a streamlined movie. Everything feels purposeful, everything feels impactful, everything about this movie feels good. So I'm just trying to think like what would an alternate ending look like, because I think it like ending is good. I don't know what you would do.
I wonder as well. I'm wondering if alternate ending is a repackaged term for like ending differently in different countries or something like that.
Oh, like maybe like
India might have wanted different endings.
Yeah.
Because I remember there was a controversy with this movie because it's critical of power systems and stuff, that the colors they were using were similar to whatever this Indian political group is, and they're in power and they didn't want, so they were like re-editing, so they were doing some color grading foibles to let it release.
They had to completely like color correct and change the colors on like whole shots, like especially I think there was like protest scenes or something
where it's orange and they had to make it red, but you see people are still in orange clothes, and because they were only able to like change the banners, I think, and stuff like that, which is fine because I think you got to do what you got to do to get the movie released. It's barely coming out already.
Yeah, I mean like that's fine, like just changing the color, because I mean yes, the color palette speaks to the film and like what you want to say with it, what you want it to mean, but I mean like that's a compromise. Like that is,
the movie is so clear with Dev Patel's like everything is so clear that even without knowing that it was critical, like the Indian political situation, I could tell it was critical of Indian politics, and I could tell it was critical of the way like the slums versus the wealth and everything like that. Like it doesn't need to be orange for me to get what he's saying about the Indian situation.
It's always about class. It's always class warfare. People in positions of power will always try to tell you it's something else. It's religion, it's geographical location. No, it's always about people in power versus people not in power. It's always about class warfare.
And more people should see this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know who has or hasn't, but I remember the trailers. I remember the push for it. I love it a lot. Do you love it more than the first time you saw it, like upon rewatching it? That's a good question, because I had two complaints with the movie the first time I saw it.
One of which I do remember agreeing with.
Which was, I don't know which one you agreed with. I remember my complaint was I think it takes a little long to get going.
The other one.
What was the other one?
With the monkey mask.
Yes. He has this monkey mask that he should wear more in the movie, being called Monkey Man.
He wears it. So this is a character that works two jobs. One as a waiter in a very
which he gets
in the movie. Yeah, he gets this job working in a very like
upscale club for the rich and powerful. He's a dishwasher, and he kind of, the part of the movie is him climbing his way up to get more access. And the way he really makes money though is he's an underground fighter in rigged fights in a wrestling ring sort of situation. And
he wears the monkey mask. They all have like personas in those, like a lot of wrestling around the world has. They have personas, and so there's one dude that wears like a snake skin mask, and they call him King Cobra, and he wears a monkey mask. There's a point in the movie, kind of. It follows a very good example of the hero's journey, and after he comes out of his lowest point and he's coming back to do, he bleaches the mask to be like white, and I think he bleaches it after his comeback fight. I think he should have bleached it before the comeback fight and just entered the ring as the new animal.
Yeah, but that's a really nitpicky, like...
It's so nitpicky, but if that's my, like, biggest issue with the movie, is that this insert should have come beforehand.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, my only complaint really is, like, the opening 20 minutes or so takes a little while to get going. However, on rewatch, knowing that it's going to take a while to get going, it was actually not too bad. I was like, so maybe I liked it more on my rewatch. I still think it's got a little bit of, like you mentioned, it was streamlined. I think it's got a little bit of fluff. The movie clocks in at 2 hours and 1 minute.
Little fat to trim.
I think it could be 145.
Really?
Yeah. I think there's probably about 15 minutes in here you could cut. I don't have those noted down for you or anything like that, but I like some of the flashbacks, some of the stuff I think could be shorter.
Yes, I don't think so. Some of the flashbacks, all the flashbacks, I think, are with his mom.
Yeah,
I don't think the flashbacks on the riverbank should be cut, where it's her like telling the stories and stuff. But maybe like when we see the flashback of his village being raided, that could be shorter, maybe.
Because it goes for a minute.
Yeah.
But the movie opens with him as a boy with his mom.
Yeah.
And she's telling him the story of Hanuman, who is a monkey man. I mean, it's so good though in that it's overt because it's wearing its heart on its sleeve.
Yeah.
But when you go into a movie called Monkey Man and the main character hears a legend about a monkey man, and then we cut and he's wearing a monkey mask in a fighting ring, getting like bloodied and fighting, that's awesome. That's not like, it's not a movie that's like, oh, I'm so smart and it's actually very easy to understand. It's a movie with a very clear emotional through line that connects to you directly, and they're like, that's the monkey man, and you're like, I want him to succeed.
Yeah, because she's like, the monkey man, you know, Hanuman was, you know, a very noble hero, helped the people. Cut to him as the monkey man, you know, very selfishly, you know, he's fighting in an underground, you know, not very noble at all.
No, it's a rigged fight. He's just doing it to make money.
And he's losing, you know, and he gets shafted by Charlton Copley because he didn't bleed during the fight, so he gets half.
Charlton Copley, Chappie.
Hey, Chappie!
Chappie tells him that, or he tells the crowd even, you're talking about it's classism, it's not religion, it's not. He has sort of, he sort of embodies that, but he speaks it, he speaks the message for the movie where he turns to the crowd and he says, listen, some of you are Hindu, some of you are Muslim, there may even be a closet Christian here, and the crowd boos. And he goes, but here together we all worship the almighty rupee,
the Indian rupee.
And the crowd goes nuts and they're betting and everything. And it's like, that's exactly the point of the movie. Yes. Right there. It's intelligent and you get it, and it's easy to connect with and root for. One of my favorite parts of this movie, or themes of this movie, is how simple it is in a positive way. And I think it's actually something else that pops up. You were talking about way earlier. You said it hasn't been a great year for 2024 movies.
Yeah.
And movies like this popped in my head, and movies like The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. And I'm not trying to say that movie's like great or anything. I'm just saying there are these movies that are just like fighting to come out amidst like franchises and all this stuff, where it's just like a guy wants to do a thing and he will fight to save one small part of the world.
Kevin Costner's fighting to save his cowboy movie against his marriage.
I ain't watching that shit.
You're not gonna watch, what was it called? Saga?
Horizon, an American Saga, Part 1 of 4.
We're not gonna see those at all?
Well, we didn't see the first one in theaters when it made $11 million on a $100 million budget. The second one got delayed. I did see that. It was supposed to be out this month or something like that.
That is too soon.
Well, it was supposed to be like a 1-2 punch. It might have even supposed to be at the end of summer, like beginning of summer, end of summer.
Oh my God.
Because if you remember, the initial trailers would put up like 4-part dates.
Yeah, and they would give you the release date for each one.
And I think the second two didn't have full-on dates, but might have said like
2025, and then, yeah.
But I know that one got delayed, and I know 3 and 4 aren't finished filming. So they might not even get filmed.
Oh, poor Kevin.
So anyway,
Monkey Man
rules. He monkey, he man.
He monkey, he man until he topples the government.
But it's a very classic sort of rebirth story where we see him on his lowest of his low, living in the slums, and he finds a way.
He sleeps on a floor with like 13 dudes.
Yes, and he finds a way to get in as a waiter or as a dishwasher.
Yeah. God, what's the name of the guy that he becomes friends with that has like the Vespa?
I don't remember. Alfonso.
I love him.
He very early on meets a dude who says like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "Bobby," because you never get a name for Monkey Man. Mm-mm. And the second he says Bobby, you're like, "Oh, okay, that's a weird name." And the camera cuts and we see Bobby detergent is what he's using. It's little things like that are just, I don't know. I love quirky in that way, or like earnest and quirky, which is a great review of Monkey Man. The best I can give it is it feels so purely Dev Patel's vision. And they wanted to dump this on streaming. But Alfonso and Bobby start making some money together because he says, "Listen, Alfonso, I'm trying to get a promotion. Go to so-and-so, bet on the monkey to lose in the third round. Because the fight's rigged." And so he makes Alfonso some money, and then the two of them are buds.
Yeah.
And so now he's a waiter in the upscale section of the, like, he goes from dishwasher to waiter, and it's like there's elevators, so it's like,
yeah, he's literally working his way up the building, up the chain of command, trying to get to a guy. Like, we're not ever really given, at least for the first half hour of the movie, we're not given the main character's like motivation, his target.
And so once he's the waiter, and that's kind of my issue with why it feels a little aimless, we're not given anything. Like, we know he doesn't want to be poor, but we're just getting flashes.
The film is structured in such a way, though, I think it's, again, I just think it's not holding the hand of its audience. The second we, like, see the guy that he's after and we get a flashback, we can immediately, everything we're given before, we can piece everything together.
Yeah. I would have liked to be a little less aimless.
Okay.
Just because it's hard to, it's just sometimes where it's like, all right, he's stealing a wallet to get a job to not be Monkey Man.
He wants a gun for who?
He's still Monkey Man. He's got a gun.
The monkey has a gun.
Like, someone's got to put these pieces together at some point. And you realize that there's this guy who burned down his village and almost definitely killed his mom, who we saw the flashback of. And so he's going to get revenge. And you're like, oh, okay. And he tries to very quickly. He gets the gun. He tries to. And it's very early in the movie. And you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Because he works his way up to the cocaine lounge.
For lack of a better term, yeah, there's go-go cages and cocaine on the table.
What's
and
a go-go cage?
They got the it's literally like with women dancing in them.
That's called a go-go cage?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't go to places with caged women.
I was about to ask, what did you think they were called, but I realized I wouldn't get an answer.
No, I was never. Why do you know that?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Because you signed an NDA.
No, they're just called go-go cages.
Uh-huh. Go-go gadget woman.
Go-go gadget woman. His trunk pops open.
Flips her in and peels out.
Oh, man.
So he immediately tries to kill this dude because he puts bleach in his cocaine. So guy goes to the bathroom, and I love action-y fights, right?
Yeah, this is like the first really good, because like there's the fixed fights in the Monkey Man arena, the Monkey Dome. Mm-hmm. This is the first fight of the movie. I need
to escape the Monkey Dome. Take this bleach cocaine. So, but I love fights, like heavy choreographed, or not heavy choreographed, heavy smooth fights, like martial arts fights or whatever in movies can be fun. But I love when the two dudes fighting are not like martial artists, but are just sort of brutal and desperate. And that's what this fight in the bathroom becomes very quickly.
Yes.
Like slipping on toilet water because there's a bloodied, overflowed toilet, like fumbling for a gun as you just drag each other at.
Fumbling for bits of like debris to start throwing or punching. That's
what I loved in The Crow when he's first back from the dead and he's like not a good fighter, but he can't die. So he's just getting slick with his own blood.
Yeah.
This is a very similar fight. It's better.
Yeah.
But it's like you're just on the floor covered in overflowing toilet water as you're just fumbling to punch the dude on top of you. It's beautiful.
It's desperate. It is choreographed. It still looks good, but it feels real.
And it just keeps going. It's like
in a good way.
Oh yeah, in a way where it's like every time you take a breath, and it just resubmerges you into that fight.
Yeah, every time he takes a breath, a dude enters and is like, "Holy shit, boss!" and pulls a gun.
Yeah, and so eventually he realizes his assassination attempt has not worked. The people have heard gunshots. They're fleeing the building.
Out the window.
He tries.
Can't go out the window.
And it plays like a joke, but then it immediately kicks back into the fight. Mm-hmm. Just awesome. We get some POV shots. Him running down a stairwell as he's trying to escape. He's bloodied.
He ends up in a brothel.
Well, first he grabs Alfonso's car and he drives away.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes.
And so there's this like nitro and they're kicking into gear and they're speeding through these tight Indian streets. Eventually gets taken out by the cops who are now chasing him. Wakes up. He gets knocked out by the cops. You think that's going to wake up in the next scene, right? Like this is very classic. Hit fade to black. Wake up in the detainment cell. You got to escape. Wakes up in the back of the car and immediately starts fighting his way out of this paddy wagon, blowing cops away, by the way, forcing them to guns back towards their heads to just ice them. It's perfect. Your main character should kill everybody.
I remember, again, because this is such an easy movie. I think this is an easy movie to digest.
Yes.
Like, and it could just be our,
genius intellect.
I was gonna say our fucking cinema pilled fucking film schooling that makes it easy to digest.
That could be that too. I was never wondering how the light was working in India. I knew that worked there.
It's got the sun. No,
how are these headlights working on this street? It's dark.
And then you get hit by the car as you wandering through the street. No, but like this is an easy film to digest, but I feel like it's a hard film to sell because I remember a lot of the advertising for this, or a lot of the way people were talking about this film was it's like John Wick.
Yeah, they even talk about John Wick in the movie.
Yeah, but there's a moment where when he gets a gun, the guy who's selling him the gun was like, "You want this gun? This is John Wick's gun from the John Wick movies." And Dev Patel's Monkey Man says, "No, I don't want the John Wick gun," and gets a revolver. Yeah.
I'm so sick of these. Every action movie is John Wick with a blank. John Wick with it. It's like, how video games are Dark Souls, but blah, blah, blah.
Oh my God.
John Wick's the same thing. No, John Wick is an action movie. All right, it's a good movie. Haven't seen the sequels. I've heard they're also good. But every movie is not John Wick. There have been revenge stories. There have been gunfights. Throughout human history, and I do think it hurt. It probably did hurt selling it like John Wick, but in India, someone's like, okay,
yeah, like that. To me, that does not sell the movie because that's not what the movie is.
It's a modern day myth. He's Hanuman.
Yeah, but if you're running around downtown discriminating, he's Hanuman.
That's
gotta watch Monkey Man. He's Hanuman.
Gods and demons are so fucking cool. I mean, I don't have much. It's hard to go beat by beat because it's just about him.
There,
sort of regaining himself.
Yeah,
he is saved by
the people of this temple
who are, I guess, like old school, what would be transgender in India, right?
Yeah, it's hard to it feels very much like a cultural thing that has some nuance that we don't understand, but the best that
because on one of the news broadcasts it says violence, like one of the announcers says like the political party that's kind of the villains are promoting violence towards the transgender inhabitants of local areas. So they use that terminology, which is why I'm using it, because I'm assuming the reason the movie focused on that and then brings these characters in is to connect those two lines.
Okay.
So I think it's fair to call them the transgender inhabitants of this temple to Shiva.
Yeah. But it's also something that I think gets pushed by the wayside a lot, and there's tons of articles about this, but the idea of existing beyond a gender binary has existed in cultures for thousands of years, and there's tons of like there are cultures that have names for these. There are, in some cultures there are 4 genders.
Well, what about a man who's born in the body of a man with the soul of a monkey?
They don't have words for that.
Hanuman.
Pronouns are monkey man. God. Yeah, so he gets saved. Monkey Man gets saved by these gender non-conforming, very much trans. You mentioned, that they are very
very trans.
Well, I was gonna say
by some of the most trans we could find.
I was gonna say like trans-coded characters, but given that, because I didn't catch that in the news broadcasts of the issues going on, because they intercut a lot of like real news footage in this movie too, which
is what I was saying, where it's like it's hard to miss the message of this movie
of violence against minorities happening. But so he just is training to get better outside this temple, and Dev Patel, as the creative drive of this movie, this director, says, all right, beautiful women standing in the corner, make eyes at me as I hit this punching bag.
I was thinking about that too. It's boss as hell to write, direct, and star in a scene where you're like, I'm saved by glorious trans women and they fucking love when I take my shirt off. I was like, all right, Dev, what is the next movie gonna be about? Next movie can't go to theaters for a different reason. That's the alternate ending.
Oh man, the alternate ending is he doesn't leave the temple.
No,
he just has his harem of beautiful women. He's just like, there's disparity going on outside the temple? Couldn't be me.
No, I, like an android from Alien, am full of milk, and they must get it out of me.
Oh, man.
No, it's boss as hell. I have nothing but respect for Dev Patel after this movie. This movie and The Green Knight.
I haven't seen The Green Knight.
He's full of milk in that movie, too.
Did they get it out of him?
Only once.
Huh? Wait, what?
Gotta watch Green Knight.
No!
But anyway, Monkey Man goes back. He wins some money to help the trans people who are attacked.
Yeah, he leaves it at their temple, dangling from the arm of Shiva in their temple.
That's when he dyes his mask to then go to his final confrontation, which is beating the big bad.
And he immediately he wears the mask for like 3 punches.
Not even. He wears the mask and he uses it to get through. There's a big festival happening because it's the election day.
Yeah, oh yeah, and he's going down this alley.
And 2 guards are like, hey, who the fuck is this guy?
That's when he takes the mask off. Yeah, fuck.
Should have had it on. My guess is they filmed the end fight scenes with no mask. Then they realized, oh shit, he's got to have a scene where he takes the mask off, huh? Because the way it's edited just makes me think that they had the monkey, like they had them dyeing the monkey mask white or bleaching it white, but they had already filmed scenes without the mask, and so they had to have him take it off for a reason.
It would have been so cool though if he came back, dyed the mask white, and then went into that fight.
Yeah. So our only complaint about Monkey Man is it's not 1 billion% cool. It's only 1 million% cool. I love you, Monkey Man.
I love you, Monkey Man. Okay.
It's one of those things where if it's a movie that's good, I don't have a ton to say about it other than go watch it.
Yeah, because
nothing I can say here can do it justice. And like you said, it's hard to sell. So how would you sell it?
It was better in theaters. Rewatching it, I was on the screen. I was like, man, I remember being in the theater and this sting, this boom hit harder and stuff. Like
that's because it was like 5 of us at the theater, all progressively locking the fuck in with everything, like leaning forward as they're like, oh no, he monkey, he really man.
He really monkey, he really man.
Like, and so I remember leaning forward at points, and then out of my peripheral vision I turn and I'm seeing other people leaning or already have leaned forward, just like go
monkey man.
And so
if I had to sell this to people now, he monkey, he man, you got a problem, get off.
Clockwork Orange Day ass. Make him watch Monkey Man.
Clockwork Monkey.
I mean, and by Clockwork Orange, I mean hold their eyes open, make them watch. I don't mean break into their house.
Cut the feed. Cut the fucking feed.